Did you hear that there?
I did.
Yeah, I've usually got it on record right away, but I was like, you know what? I don't want to stick it on record. It just makes it awkward for any kind of small talk. So, yep, record now. So, UFC flyweight, Cortney Casey, thank you very much for taking time to come on MMA Lowdown. How are we doing today?
I'm doing good, doing really good.
Awesome. So, looking forward to getting to chat to you. It's been a wee while. I've been trying to get hold of you for a wee while just now, so it's good to finally get you on. So, you've been training today. What kind of training you been doing?
Today I did jujitsu, so I rolled competition class over at Tim Welch BJJ.
Hmm.
Just straight rolls. You go in there, you get like a good little 30-minute warm up, and then it's like 8-minute rolls, hard rolls. We do about like I think today we did seven rolls.
Hmm.
And it's just all out. And then that was at 10, like 10 to 11:30, and then let's see. Then I came home and quickly ate, and then had to go over to strength and conditioning at 2 o'clock, and I just got done. And
So, is that,
it's
yeah.
like 5 o'clock now.
Awesome. So see when you're doing your training and that then, is this like 7 days a week? Do you have a couple of days off between?
The only day that I take like off is like Saturday, and that's
Yeah.
what I kind of consider like my active rest day, where I'll go like hiking and or go swimming now that it's warm outside. I'll go swimming in the pool. We'll go to the lake. We'll go kayaking. It's we do something, but it's not like MMA related. It's something just to get out and just kind of still keep the body moving. And then Sunday I do like pure cardio, like kind of like CrossFit cardio. We do a lot of ski erg and rowing and biking and running and kind of stuff like that.
It sounds kind of great if I'm honest. I wish I was able to do it myself. It sounds very active. What's your most favourite type? What do you always like? We know that you'll obviously do a lot of different things, but have you got any that's like, yeah, I can't wait to get that done?
I like working with my striking coach a lot.
Yeah.
I like hitting pads and just working on new things, but I definitely love like jujitsu, like going and just doing like straight competition rolls and stuff like that. Like those are my two favorite things to do.
Well, we can see in competition, past, present, we can see that you like to kind of mix up and all that. So that's very evident. Have you got any fights coming up? Any wee plans under the woodwork?
They're saying August, so
Awesome.
hopefully that everything will pan out and we'll get on the August card.
Awesome. Look forward to it. Where would it be?
I think it would be Vegas because they're
Vegas.
saying like
Apex.
like the 21st or something like that, or the 14th. I think the 14th is in London, maybe. I'm not 100% sure. Um,
That's familiar. It does ring a bell, actually.
yeah, so I don't know. Well, I was told August, and we'll go from there.
Awesome. I hope so. I mean, things are getting back to normal. I mean, the fact we're getting crowds going about, and even across where we are, we're getting mini concerts kind of going on and stuff. So it seems to be hopefully getting back to normal. So what do you got up to then, right? So we know you as a fighter. We know that you're very rigorous in all your kind of workouts and what you do. What do you do when you're not fighting and you're not in camp? What's a day like for Cortney Casey?
Oh man, playing with my son normally, like hanging out with him. We do a lot of Monster Jam goes on. We're actually going Monster Jam's coming to Phoenix tomorrow, so we're going in and doing that. But yeah, just swimming and teaching him how to ride his bike and little things like that. Like that really, I mean, honestly consumes all my free time.
Yeah.
And then if I'm not with him, I'm hanging out with my nephews as well. So it's not just family stuff. I'm not big on partying or going out or doing anything like that. So I'm kind of a homebody, but I like to have people at my house. So we always have the fights or we have barbecues and things like that. So that's what I like to do. I like to cook for people, and other than that, that's it.
Yeah. So see how you do that. Like you've got this reputation, of course, for your fighting, and then you've got this contrast of a family life. I've been able to understand and see both aspects of it just through social media. So you get anybody who kind of finds that unexpected because there's connotations about what a cage fighter's like. Does people kind of go, "Oh, I never thought you'd be like that."
Yeah, I get it a lot. Like
Yeah.
I mean, I think me and Jakar get it a lot. Like we'll go out, and if we do go out to dinner, we go and do things like that. People always ask what we do, and then we tell them, and they're like, "Oh, we would never think that." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I mean, we're just normal people. Like, we just happen to fight every now and then. But other than that, we're just normal people."
that's what I like about cage fighting. Well, like about fighters and stuff, right? So when I look at yourselves and what you're doing, that I notice you're fighting and you've got fame on the basis that you are competing in a very, very popular sport, right? But it's not something that you kind of crave. It's just that the attention's thrust onto something that you've just been so passionate about. So it must be kind of mad seeing that type of reaction. And that's what I like about it the most. I think it's awesome. So, cast iron, where did that name come from? Because I've got no idea.
It was given to me by a teammate. I was the only girl in the gym. I was the smallest by, I don't even know how much. I think the person that was like a 155er was like the smallest guy, maybe 145er at the time. And the rest were all like big guys. And it was in El Paso. And, we just do round robins. And one of the big guys is like, you're like a little cast iron skillet. You just get thrown in the fire and you come out unscathed, just ready for more. And I was like, well, I got to earn my keep here. Like, I'm the only girl. Like, I don't want to get kicked out. And it just kind of stuck.
It's awesome. So is that early in your career then? Is that kind of at the start then you got that name?
Yeah, it's pretty much how I have it. I didn't give it to myself, I think it's weird. Like, I got a classic name, you know what I mean? It was given to me by a teammate or a coach. Like, I feel like that's how your nickname should be given to you, your fight names. I'm not a big fan of fighters who give themselves fight names. I think it's kind of lame.
Yeah, like self-proclaimed. So just while we're going back a wee bit, right? So UFC, you first fought in the UFC 2015 against Joe Calderwood, UFC
Yep.
Fight Night 72. Now the arena you fought in is only like an hour's drive away from me, so it's pretty local. You remember a lot about that night?
It was crazy.
Yeah.
I just remember it was so loud. I mean, I got the fight on 10 days notice. Like, there was a lot going on. Like, I still had to get cleared. I never got cleared until like after the ceremonial weigh-ins is when I finally got like the text message from my like UFC handler that all my paperwork was good and I was cleared to fight. But all the way up until then, I still wasn't sure if I was fighting or not. And then just went out there and survived, really,
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that's what happened. I was trying to finish it as quick as I could. And I remember my coach telling me, like, if you get in the clinch, because, JoJo's really good in the clinch. Like, she's really good in the clinch. She's like, if you get in the clinch, like, try to pull guard, throw up a flying armbar, because she had just got caught with an armbar. And I had rocked her right away and went up against the cage. And as soon as I jumped guard, I was like, why did I do that? Like, I should have just kept going. But that was the beginning of the end. And then it was just going out there and swinging and trying to put on a show for the fans. And we ended up doing that. We got fight of the night. And we've been friends ever since.
That's it. That's what it's all about. I mean, was that your first time in the UK or your first time in Scotland then, was it?
Yeah, I loved it. I liked all the pebble roads. Like, all the roads were all pebbled, and it was really nice. I kept trying to ask for an Arnold Palmer, and they kept giving me like a tea and like something else, and I was like, no, like half lemonade, half tea, and they just didn't understand it, and I thought it was pretty funny. Awesome. But yeah, I loved it over there. It was nice.
No, so it was your Fight of the Night debut. Now, despite the result, which I personally felt that, of course, when you rocked her and stuff, I felt there was a kind of good back and forth, a lot of energy. The fans seem to really love it. Do you feel a wee connection? So we know you fought everywhere, right? Now, you came to Scotland, it's your debut in the biggest organisation in the world. Do you still kind of think fondly? Do you feel any kind of connection with Scotland because of that?
Yeah, it's kind of like I thought about I'm going on my 6th year in the UFC, and I was like, man, like, not only was it in Scotland, but it was the first time they were in Scotland. So exactly, it was a big deal. So I definitely have like that connection. Like I said, like, me and JoJo are friends to this day. Like, again, I'm going to Vegas this weekend, and I'm going to meet up with her and her family, and we're bringing the boys. So going to get the kids together and things like that. So it's definitely, I definitely have a connection with Scotland and with JoJo and all of that. So I love it. I was happy that I got to share the ring with such a cool person and be able to, continue our friendship and things like that. That normally doesn't always happen, as fighters. but JoJo's a cool girl, and I remember going up to her after the fight, and I was like, dude, I was not gonna not let you fight in Scotland, like, because it was such a short notice fight, and they were trying to find someone, and I took the fight, and I was like probably the last on the totem pole because it was getting so close to crunch time, and so it was just a blessing in disguise, I guess you can say.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. So your fight before that was in a place called Guam.
Yeah.
Did you notice a big contrast between the crowds and the atmosphere and the way that people received you in terms of fighting?
About the same. The atmosphere different, obviously, because it was a UFC event, and PXC was a little bit of a smaller show.
Yeah.
But the fans in general, Guam is awesome. They have a huge MMA fan base. Very welcoming. Even after I was fighting in the UFC, I went back a few times to Guam and Manila where they were having cards, because I had some teammates fight on their cards, and I was cornering them, and they're awesome. I really like Guam a lot.
Did you ever get a chance, like after the fight in Glasgow and that, did you ever get a chance, I don't know if you do this or not, but did you get a chance to read like forums and comments and stuff for the Scottish fans of that?
Not too much. The next day I kind of walked around a little bit with my mom. We just went to a few shops and stuff like that. And a couple fans came up and, wanted to take pictures, which I thought was pretty cool. But yeah, I didn't get to I wanted to spend time. My mom actually stayed longer than I did. I had to get back home and get back to training and get back to work, because I was still working a full-time job at that time. So yeah, my mom got to enjoy Scotland a little bit more than me, which is funny. We get those posters, like the media day posters, and you get to they ask you if you want to take them home, and I didn't want to pay for it, so my mom's like, "Oh, I'll take it home with me," and she paid for it and everything, and it never got off the plane. Like, it got pushed up against the corner and just never got off. And I got a message from a guy at the Scotland airport. He's like, "Hey, it's been here for about 6 months. No one's claimed it. Do you mind if I can have it? Like, I was at the fight." And I was like, "For sure, man, you can have
That's
it." And
nice.
Like, "Do you ever come back? Do you think you can sign it?" And I was like, "Yeah, if I ever come back, I'll sign it."
Oh, that's awesome. So yeah, the reason I was asking about the forums is, like, I read the forums and people were very positive towards you, and they were talking a lot about the momentum you had. I mean, we know that you, in terms of stoppages and that before that fight, I think it was 4 stoppages you were coming off in the first round. Is that right?
Yep. I think that's right.
Aye, so there was a lot of momentum, and Jojo at the time, we've seen the way that Jojo's flying the flag now. It's kind of turned round in such a big way. She's chasing that flyweight top tier as well. But people were very positive towards you. I was just checking because I read it and I seen a lot of positivity towards you. So hope you know that.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I do have I notice a lot of Scotland fans still, liking my stuff, and especially when I fight, I get the support from them. So I definitely appreciate all the support I get from them. It was like my welcoming to the UFC, and I honestly couldn't have dreamt of a better place than Scotland to do it.
Awesome. So fast forward it, right? So your last fight, March, JJ Aldrich, now controversial based on the debates and the consensus for most fans going about. How's your thoughts about it a couple of months later?
Doesn't matter. At the end of the day, the L is still next to my name. So it is what it is. I've had a couple of those in my career, and it's just one of those things. It sucks, because I've only been finished once in the UFC, which was the fight before that against Jillian. I've never really been beat up. I've never, been dominated in any fight. It's just one of those things. It's frustrating. More than anything, it's frustrating. I try to go in there and put on shows for the fans and try to win the fight wherever it's at. I'm not trying to get points and just win. You know what I mean? Like, hope for the best. Like, that's where it's kind of what I feel like some people like. I don't want to lose, but I'm really not trying to win either. They're like playing this game, which I understand it is a game, but it's a fight too, So it gets frustrating for me as a fighter, someone who's like wanting to finish the fight. I'm trying to finish the fight wherever it goes, to get in the cage and get girls that are just trying to win. whatever they can to win. Whether it's the most boring fight, I'm going to take you down, I'm going to hold you down, I'm going to hit you once and run around so you can't hit me. Like I don't like it. It's frustrating. I as a fan, I hate watching those types of fights. Being in those fights, it's frustrating. So it's just, I mean, that's all I can really say. It's frustrating. It really is.
Yeah, so basically, there's this narrative about don't let it go in the judge's hand and all that, just kind of what you're referring to there. So, a lot of people in the comments that they put across was talking more about the takedowns and the lack of action on Aldridge's part, whereas you were providing a lot more of the action. Again, that was the feedback. Now, a lot of words going about in terms of robbery and wrong end of the scorecards. We know how judges have been getting brought up a lot recently based on their scoring. Would you say that it was down to that, or do you feel personally that you should have done a wee bit more?
I honestly thought I did enough. I honestly, as far as on the ground goes, yeah, she got takedowns, but she didn't do anything with them. I was striking from the bottom. I was, anytime that I was trying to move, she was just trying to stay on top. She wasn't trying to, look for submissions or even really throw punches from the top. And when she did, that gave me the time to get up, and it's not like I didn't get up. It just took me a while because it's hard to stand up when someone's not trying to fight you. They're just like, I'm going to hold you down. Like, I'm just going to stand there. I'm going to do whatever I can just to keep you down. Like, it's not a Khabib where someone's, holding you down and beating you up. It's someone like literally just being a wet blanket on you. And it gets frustrating, especially that third round. Like the third round, I got up right away and the strikes and then the legal blow at the end and things like that. I thought I had done enough striking wise. I thought I landed more shots, more significant strikes, and everything. Yeah, she got takedowns, but she didn't do anything with them, and I was doing more. And that same thing goes for, you can say, the Michelle Waterson fight. I mean, someone on top who's defending submission after submission after submission, but yet they're on top. Like, who do you give more points to? The person on top or the person on the bottom trying to finish the fight?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I don't know. I mean,
again, at the end of the day, she got the nod and I didn't, and it's frustrating. You can say, don't leave it in the hands of the judges, or you can say, hey, you need to get some better judges.
Yeah.
And I think more people are starting to lean towards, hey, we need to get some more intelligent judges out there.
Without a doubt, that's, as I said, when in the MMA community, that's what people are saying. And the MMA community, certainly, if we're I try to be as value free from both fighters and that, but if we're talking about the community, they were definitely looking at your kind of aspect and going, it was you.
And if they're not gonna get better judges, then I feel like they should have an open scorecard where we can see, okay, this is what we're doing. Or another thing is we should know who our judges are, so we know how they judge fights. And meaning, like, every time the fight gets judged, okay, this is why I scored it a 10-8 round for significant strikes, for cage control. So we know what they're judging. Oh, we got Sally and Rob scores heavy on takedowns, and Sally's really good. She's heavy in the clinch game. So at least, like, when they're like, oh, here's your judges for your fight, and I was like, okay, I definitely got to work more wrestling defense, and I definitely got to strike more because these are the judges I have. But we don't know the judges. We don't know how they're scoring. We don't know what their background is. Like, it could just be a mom who signed up to be, boxing commission for that night, and it's like, all right, here you go. Judge these fights. You have no wrestling, jiu-jitsu, striking background whatsoever. You're just there watching the fight. And again, they're watching the fight with everyone else, and they're hearing the commentating, they're hearing the coaches, everything. Maybe put them in their own little room where they're just watching on a screen, so they have to really focus and they're not distracted by everything else and outside commentating, oh, well, they're landing heavy strikes and they're not doing this, and Michael Bisping yelling in their ear and Dominic Cruz yelling in their ear, and they're like, well, I'm going to give it to them, like, you don't know. You just don't know how they're judging, and it sucks.
Would you prefer then if, like, ex-fighters were to be put in front for judging? Do you think that'd be better in terms of being able to be, rather than just reading from a textbook,
That's another little gray line, because you got guys who train with guys so much, they know coaches and things like that. I mean, it would definitely have to be a pledge, and you'd have to take their word that they're not doing favorites. But I mean, I feel like judges should at least have to go and watch X amount of hours of live jiu-jitsu, like go to jiu-jitsu gyms and watch jiu-jitsu, go to wrestling matches and see that, go to boxing and kickboxing and Muay Thai fights, just so you can see the art itself before you try to put it all together. You know what I mean? And so like they can really see, oh, you know, this fighter used knees, elbows, kicks, punches, and takedowns, and this guy just did takedowns. You know what I mean? Like who's really doing more?
Yep. Well, we know what it's like in terms of takedowns and that. So yeah, I never really thought about it, but when you break it all down like that, even as a fan, it must be really difficult for us just watching it, but for yourselves, man, all the work you put in, all the effort, can't even imagine it. I'll move on for it. I'll not go on too much about it now, but we all have our views and our consensus on it, right? So, Flyweight Division. So you're now 1 and 2 in the Flyweight Division. Now, you previously said that this is going to be your home. Is that still the plan?
Yeah, that's definitely still in the plan. I still feel small in the division. I definitely still feel small. Even though I'm on the taller end, I just physique-wise, I feel a little bit smaller. It's taken time to put on the muscle and put it on properly to still make the weight. You know, you don't want to put on sloppy muscle. You don't want to put on inappropriate muscle that's not, you know, functional.
Yeah.
And it's hard to do that when you're fighting so much. You know, I fought those last 3 fights, I mean, within, I think, 8 months, maybe.
Short time.
Short time. But I had also been out for 15 months for an injury. So, you know, I had to get those fights in and get back in there. And hopefully, you know, the next fight coming up, we can go out there and put on another good show and get a win under our belt and break that 500 record, because right now that's pretty shitty. Not happy about that. But it is what it is, you know. I fought a lot of tough girls, had a lot of tough fights. You know, at the end of the day, I can honestly be like, I never got beat up. I've never been beat up. I never been like, fuck, I can't fight no more. These girls are just too good. Like, I'm right there with all of them. Like, I've always been right there with all of them. And there's just some missing pieces that I haven't been able to figure out. I don't really know what I have to do to fix those, but we're working on them. Slowly but surely we're working on them, and hopefully it comes sooner than later, because I don't know how much longer they're going to keep me around with my record. But, you know, they like me. I take short notice fights. I always put on good fights for the fans. So, I don't see why not. You know, you got guys in there, you know, like Cerrone, and you had guys like Bisping at one point, and even, Masvidal, you know, they just had to put it one time. They put it together, and then after that, they figured it out. You know, They go on these runs, and same with them. They were always like in wars. They were always fan favorites, and I feel like that's kind of like who I am. You know, people like watching me fight, and I try not to be in boring fights. I personally try not to make it boring. Try to go out there and finish fights, and I think the UFC likes that, and they recognize that. But at the end of the day, it is a business for them. So they also have to make the right moves as well. So I can't hate them for that. But, you know, I'm happy where I'm at. I'm happy in the Flyweight Division. It's just going to take me a little bit of time, but hopefully a lot less time.
No, there's still time. What about the 135 pound? Are you still thinking about kind of flirting with that at some point as well, short notice?
At 135?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I told Mick, like our contracts are in fights. You know, that's what our contracts are for. And if he needs me for 135, I'll fight 135 for him. I don't mind. Like, I love fighting. And if that means I got to fight at 135, I'll fight. If they need me at 135, I'll fight at 135. If they need me at 25, I'll fight at 25. If they need me at 15, I'll fight at 15, but you better give me time to make the weight. Yeah. You know? But other than that, like, if they need me, I'm here. I'm not going to turn down fights. I haven't turned down fights. Unless like it was something like I was hurt, or you know what I mean? Or if it was just too quick of a turnaround. But if they gave me a fight and I've been, you know, I'm like, I don't even ask who it is. Hey, do you want to fight this date? Yeah, sure. You don't want to know who it is? Nope, I'll fight whoever it is. I don't care.
No, and I mean, despite like you said there, I mean, at the end of the day, isn't that what they always focus on? It's always about Dana White in terms of telling like, oh, he doesn't want to fight, they don't want to fight. It's like, well, if you're wanting to fight all the time, surely that's music to their ears essentially. So yeah, I could see that. I could see that working in your favour very much. Like he says, your fights are always exciting. You always bring it. The last couple of fights have been able to demonstrate that as well. So I just want to know then. So 115, 125, then up to 135. So is the appeal at 135 purely based on just being game to fight, or do you want to test yourself putting on that extra weight and fighting a very not stacked division, but in terms of who they've got, like they've got Durandame and Nunes and Home and everything like that. So would you ever want to see yourself test yourself against them?
Yeah, I definitely would. If it's something that like my manager and Nick came up to me and was like, "Hey, let's try to make a run at 35, and we'll give you some time to put on some weight," and I'd 100% do it. Hold on.
No worries, pal.
He's got cookie all over, passed out. Yeah. But yeah, I definitely would do 35.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If I was given the opportunity to. Yeah.
No, so I mean, if we're just going by like that, so we've got 135. So if we go back down to 115 again, I mean, the caliber of people that you've fought, one after the other. I mean, you've got Cavillo, Gadea, you've got Aguilar, Hill, Watson. Do you feel that despite kind of wins and losses going across the board there, do you ever feel that you're kind of discredited?
100%. I get a lot. I get a lot of people who are like, "Why are you still in the UFC? Like, you have a terrible record." And it's like, yeah, my record's not good, but I fought the who's who of the division. Like, I've literally, and most of them are split decision losses. Like I said, I've never been beat up. I've never been out of a fight. So it's frustrating. It's frustrating when you have outsiders, saying things like that. The comments, I try to stay off of social media as much as possible as far as reading comments, because it's just like, if you really knew, like, it wouldn't even be something you would talk about.
Yeah.
Something that would be brought up. And then sometimes I have to defend myself. I'm like, look, I fought all top 10, top 15. I fought the number 1 girl and I wasn't even ranked because no one wanted to fight her. No one wanted to fight, I can't think of her name right now. The Brazilian that fought JJ.
Gadea.
Yeah, Claudia. Gosh, Claudia. Like, no one wanted to fight her, and no one wanted to fight her in Brazil.
No.
And I hit up, at the time it was Sean Shelby was our matchmaker, and I was like, Sean, she's 2-2, and I'm 2-2. And he's like, yeah, but her 2 losses are to the champ. And I was like, yeah, but on paper it makes sense. And he was like, all right, well, let me get back to you. And then a week later, he's like, no one's taking the fight. You want it? And I was like, hell yeah, I'll take it. So, and again, like, I've had 2 fight of the nights, a performance bonus. I've been ranked in 2 divisions. Mm-hmm. So if people want to, talk crap about me, they can talk crap about me. But I've always, since the beginning of my my career, I never wanted to say, oh, I was 11-0, but I didn't fight anyone, or I was given fights. I wanted to fight
like a padded record. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wanted to fight the best of the best. If that means I lost, then I lost. But I went in there knowing, like, I never went into a fight thinking I was going to lose. I always knew, like, I have a potential to beat this girl. Like, I have a potential to win this fight and be ranked. My first fight in the UFC was against JoJo Calderwood, number 9 in the world.
Yep.
Why the fuck not? Let's go do this, And then after that, it just was another name, and another name. And I just kept taking them. I never turned down the fight. And I'm never going to be upset about that, Like, I'm never going to be like, man, I wish I would have taken easier fights. I wish I would have thought about, my opponents a little bit more. But I didn't get into fighting to to have a padded record and to say that I won a whole bunch of fights. I got into fighting to try to be the best in the world and beat the best. And you can only do that by fighting the best people.
I pretty much had the same conversation with Raquel Pennington, where like name after name after name after name, and still it just feels like people just have a certain opinion of people like that. I mean, like you says, it's never like, if we're just doing a comparison with both of you, it's different weight classes, but in terms of names, in terms of the way you dedicate and get yourself to fights, and we know that in the Amanda Nunes fight, Pennington got kind of put in a really bad way, but other than that, you have never been dominated. It's never been like one-sided. You've always been in the fight from start to finish. So, yeah, I think that's I think it's about time to put some more credit and respect in your direction, if I'm honest with you there.
I appreciate it, man.
How many fights you want this year? It's already June. Do you can get two in maybe?
Hopefully two, yeah. I'd hopefully get two. If this August one goes through, then I can probably get one in before the end of the year, and that will be my two for the year. But you never know. You know, I might get this fight and be able to get a quick turnaround and get three in. We'll see. But the more the better.
Who's on your radar then? I've seen like Molly McCann and Lipsky and Miranda Maverick and Macy Barber. Any of them on your radar?
All of them are on my radar. I'm really good friends with Molly, so I probably won't fight Molly because we're friends. But I mean, anyone. Like I said, you named two girls that I know are in my division, but if you would have asked me to name girls, I probably wouldn't name those two anyways. Like I said, I love fighting. I love watching fights, but ask me name 10 people in my division, I probably couldn't do it. Just give me a name. Yeah, sure, I'll take it.
So ideal, right? So 20, 21, 22. Where do you want to see yourself this time next year?
Ranked. I definitely want to be ranked this time next year. Top 15, if not, top 10. I definitely feel like I match up well with those girls up there in the rankings. Again, I couldn't name half of them, but I feel like I can hold my own with anyone in the division. I know I can. And like I said, if I just get those few little pieces that I'm missing in my game and get those put together, I think I definitely can go on a big win streak. And with our division being how it is, you put together three wins, you're right up there.
Yep. No, pretty much. And you still got age on your side, and you're still working hard, you're still eager, you're still hungry for it. So yeah, it's very, very possible. So before we go, I always like to get a couple of lowdown questions in there. So I'm just going to start by asking, at the moment in your record, what's been your most satisfying win?
Most satisfying win, I would say the Randa Marcos, because she had never been finished, like submitted, and I submitted her in the first round. It was on a Conor Diaz rematch 202. That was a really good good fight for me. And then my next one would be the fight that I won, the first fight that I fought at 125, just because I was on such a long layoff and going in there and finishing it in the first round as fast as I did and getting the performance bonus. And, it could have been the complete opposite, moving up a division and things like that. And she's such a good fighter, strong fighter. It could have gone, completely the other direction, and it went in my favor. And I think it was just a long time coming as far as getting over double injuries and getting back into it. It was just a super satisfying fight, not just for me, but for my camp and for my family and things like that, because they saw how hard I had to train to get back from my injuries and things like that, and all the time that put in. And so that was another good one. So I would just say those two for sure.
What about your most challenging opponent?
Most challenging opponent.
See, again, because you've always been able to kind of weather storms and dish it out yourself, it's a bit of a tricky question, I suppose, is it? Because you're always kind of in there.
Yeah, it's hard to say most challenging. Like, the two most frustrating fights would be the one against Jillian. That was a really frustrating fight for me. and then the one against Claudia Gadelha, another just frustrating fight where it was just take down and lay on you, and they're just frustrating. But the most frustrating fight would definitely be the Jillian Roberts fight, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And then a mental, and then it was so frustrating that I even had like a complete mental break and ended up getting submitted for like 12 seconds left. You know what I mean? Like, it was just really frustrating. So I would say the Jillian fight for sure.
So Valentina Shevchenko, right? So you're in her weight class. She's on a monumental tear. Now, do you ever see her getting knocked off the top of the division anytime soon? Have you seen anybody who you think, besides yourself and your own confidence and abilities over time, do you see anybody being able to kind of knock her off that perch anytime soon?
I don't feel like I see anyone like really knocking her off. She's just so well-rounded in every aspect. And anytime you think she has a little bit of weakness, she comes back the next fight and just completely shuts that down.
The Jessica fight, it was like, it's like almost like she'd already done that. It felt like just to kind of show that I can't be taken in any kind of way,
Yeah, and I thought Jessica was going to do a lot better than she did, and she's such a strong fighter. She did well at 15. She did well at 35, and I thought she was going to do well against her, and completely did not happen. I don't know, maybe like a striker like JoJo, someone like that who has decent ground game and decent wrestling defense and things like that can stop her with shots and and can hang with her in the kick exchange and things like that. So JoJo's a little bit bigger than Joanna.
Mm-hmm.
Although Joanna's a lot faster, I feel like JoJo has a lot more power, things like that. But other than that, I really don't know. Maybe if someone came in with like a lot of like a dirty boxing kind of game, because we haven't really seen her, in a dirty boxing kind of like cage wrestling, someone who's not going to just sit and hold her up against the cage, but it's going to kind of dirty box her and things like that. I don't know. She's an Amanda Nunes of the 125-pound division. Maybe if those two met at 30, 130 pounds
mm-hmm.
or something, because I don't think her going up to 35 would benefit her. And I don't think Amanda Nunes could make 25, but maybe if they did like a catch weight at 30 or something like that, maybe a fair game. But other than that, that's it. I don't really know. She's just a different animal.
No, well, exciting fights, man. But I appreciate you coming on. It's really good to talk to you, and I'm looking forward to seeing your return. And I do hope that we get to see a couple of fights out of you this year. Where can people find you and your work?
Social media, mainly on Instagram at Cast Iron Casey. I do a little Twittering here and there. Cast Iron _ Casey, or Cast Iron. Yeah, I think it's something at Cast Iron _ Casey, I think is what it is. But yeah, most of all my social media is going to be on Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram's the place to be. But no, thank you very much, and all the best in your preparation for your next fight, and we'll catch up with you another time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
No problem. You take care.
All right, you too. Bye.